Welcome to this video. I thank you for listening to my presentation and I hope you will be inspired by it. Please call me Louis Kroon. In this video, I introduce you to the brain and behavioral change and outline a framework to most of my coming videos. The purpose of this video is to really share practical principles to inspire you to be energized and create hope, and most importantly, for you to make a difference with your loved ones. I support my core living videos with online coaching for parents, students, business people, entrepreneurs, and grandparents, whoever needs inspiration on how to re-energize their life. Anyone who needs this refocus, this direction to their true north, that's the compass, and most importantly, their priorities and time schedules, the watch. My goal is to assist you in experiencing more joy, more fulfillment on a daily basis, despite this complex, unpredictable, and often unfair world we live in. Our coaching and videos will focus on your mind, as you can see on that slide, and also your goals, your priorities, and relationship. The first principle I want to share is that we always need to approach our challenges in life from a holistic point of view. We were created with a body, soul, and mind. So let's review that. This review from a holistic approach in solving problem cover the following areas. First of all, the mind, the cognitive perceptions and emotions, but also the body, the physical, the brain, the spirit, obviously your belief system, and lastly, the social, interpersonal, group relationships. These four areas are really based on the most important moral law according to Scripture: to love God with your heart, your body, your soul, spirit, and your mind, your intellect, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Why do I prefer to look at core living from a holistic point of view? Well, first of all, humans are complex in design, and each one of us has unique experiences, backgrounds, upbringing, events within a certain space and time. And therefore, the fundamental principle, if you look at this holistic approach, you cannot judge another person because you don't often understand where they come from. Let's take another example. If you have depression and you go to a general practitioner, a medical doctor, the fact that you go to a medical doctor and he views the world of the body, he would prescribe medicine. But if you don't have this holistic approach, your root cause might be loneliness. Because you are alone and on your own, you feel lonely, and that's why you have depression. So this is why core living is a holistic affair. I would like to start this discussion with the uniqueness of the brain, which is a self-operating system, and then move on to the next step. Right, let's look at the self-operating system of the brain. What do you see in that slide? A black dot. Now you see a Pac-Man. Now you see four of them, but that doesn't really make sense for you, so you created something that doesn't exist. I bet most of you saw that white square in the middle. To see that white square, you actually had to add imaginary lines. You created something in your mind that doesn't exist. And that is your perspective, your reality. That is the first principle you need to understand. The brain operates on its own based on previous experiences. The second part is a very important part. How would you respond if I say to you, let's go and jump from a plane, but we jump without a parachute? You would think, I'm crazy, I'm irresponsible. But this person, he loves to jump from that height without a parachute, and he's going to drop at the bottom just next to me, that green little square. That's the net that's going to catch him. And his brain is programmed to tell him that this is a fantastic experience. He needs to do this often because he loves it. So the brain is uniquely programmed. It operates on a self-operating business and a system, and yet we can control it. So let me explain in the next slides how you can control, change, and understand this sensational brain. Right, please note from a medical academical point of view, the information is extremely simplified and by far not conclusive. Let's start, if you look at the laser, with a neuron cell. From a neuron cell, you'll find the dendrites and the axon, linking one neuron cell to the rest, but obviously the link is through a synapse. In the synapse, you will find receptors and neurotransmitters. So the receptor acts like a hook and the neurotransmitter links, and that is how you would send information through the whole body. So let us begin with the mind. The mind is the cherry of God's creation. It's the jewel. In the detail of it, the design, it is perfect, it's complete, and the integration between all the areas in the brain is just sensational. And this actually inspired me to find out more how we can manage our minds and what was the purpose when God said we must love him with our full mind. To go back to the neuron cells, we have approximately in total 68 to 100 billion neuron cells in our brains. That would give us a 84 million gig computer, a supercomputer. The fiber, the optic fiber in our brains calculates to 900,000 kilometers. That can circle the earth more than 22 times. Unbelievable. The information and the speed of information obviously varies between 0 and 400 per millisecond, and that is how we distribute information on a blink of an eye. In total, we have 5 different keyboards, and we all know that's the senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, and they don't have any distortion. So, if God said we must love him with this mind of ours, we must surely understand how this operates so that we can manage it and really protect it. Right, the next example is the COVID-19 case study. This global pandemic actually reminds me of one important principle, and that is we can never have control over triggers, external triggers. We can only control one small part of the brain. When this trigger, this pandemic, triggers our brains, the brain starts working at enormous speeds. Neuron cells are collecting information. That information is galloping through automatically. It recalls old memories of sickness and death, and that data is now opened in the mind. 100 billion neuron cells are scanned, relevant data is selected, our subconscious mind is opened, and interpretation of data is happening all on a blink, all on self-operating systems. And then yet, chemicals are produced, either adrenaline or endorphin, to respond, to make a bodily response, appropriate response in line with those thoughts. This self-operating system can have a major impact on our lives. Just think about the experiences you have with this pandemic. Anger because the government doesn't give you the correct information, or frustration because of fake news, or fear because of death, or loneliness because of isolation. And this can take over our lives. So to take control back, maybe that is why God gave us this fantastic, sensational organ, to take control back. So when we take control back, despite all these random, uncontrolled thoughts, we need a structure, and I prefer to look at the ABC structure of mind change. So let us look at that. Right, this ABC table represents a practical approach in helping you to understand change. ABC could stand for attitude before competency, but in my case it stands for activator or external trigger. B stands for brain, and it represents the processes in the brain, and we will talk about the thought processes in the next slide. And C stands for change. Check and change. You must do something to change your life. Now, the first part after that trigger, we've got the trigger as pandemic. The second part is identify automatic negative thoughts. Then obviously we'll go through the next slides to explain. Right, usually it's very easy to identify automatic negative thoughts. If I relate that back to the virus case study, it's easy. Millions and millions of people will contract this virus and millions could die. Well, definitely millions would lose their jobs. They are talking about 100 or 150 million job losses in the next year. That is really frightening and scary. You can see these negative thoughts, how they're starting to uptight my whole body. If I think about it, and I won't be able to pay my bills, I'm going to have enormous fees just to stay out of jail. If I can't pay my bills, they would take my car, maybe my house. And that really frightens me, because what's going to happen to my family? If I lose everything, their lives will be ruined. I will be a failure. I cannot do anything about this COVID-19 pandemic. I am totally distressed. I have no hope. This is terrible. Think about it. Your mother-in-law stays with you for 8 weeks, and she's always so critical, and that really frustrates me even more. I'm so irate. I just can't keep control and have self-control over my responses and emotions. Or you might feel I'm very lonely, I'm miserable. I don't have any other option. I am in a corner. I can't do this. This spiral of negativity is taking over our lives. And in this whole process, adrenaline is produced in those synapse areas, and that will cause harm to you and me. Right, from all these negative thoughts, what happens in the brain? You can see that brain circling, but it actually collects information, it analyzes, it consolidates, create new concepts, manipulate data, regulate data, mix chemicals in the body, and distribute it throughout the whole body. Now, that process, that self-operating process, I'm going to explain with a couple of examples indicating those areas in the brain. First of all, that information is collected. The thalamus is a relay center. It's a hub of all that information. So from there, it's sent to the next part, which is the hippocampus, where memory conversion takes place. So your subconscious memory is now linked with your current memory and the experiences, and that's being consolidated. That information is also sent to the amygdala, that now connects emotion to that information. From there, the hypothalamus regulates the hormones, and then it triggers the pituitary gland to secrete through the adrenal cord and through the adrenal glands your adrenalines in the case of automatic negative thoughts. We will, however, also look in the next slide about the new cortex. Right, how do we know we have automatic negative thoughts? Well, we have fantastic red flag system. First of all, the visible ones. Body temperature spikes and we start to sweat. High cortisol levels causes insomnia, sleeplessness. Heartbeat increases, preparing us to fight or to fly, run away. Temporary excitement level goes up, We feel tired, restless, depressed, without energy. You can easily really lose your temper towards people that's close to you. The brain's ability to think clearly and you being blindsided often is a cause for distress, a cause to say, I've got to do something about this problem. Invisible bodily responses could be high blood pressure, blood clotting, muscle strength increases, inhibition of cell growth and immune system, and this breeds a perfect storm for you to lose control, lose your temper, or become depressed. So these deep levels of depression would obviously disallow you to really experience joy and sacrificing love to the ones that's close to you. And this whole process, if it continues over long periods, will inhibit your immune system and you will become prone to family illnesses. Right, so the moment you become aware of these red flags in the body, it's time to use the new cortex to stop. That new cortex is your control center. If you don't use that control center, you will lose that ability. If you do, however, control it, you will control negative thoughts in the subconscious and control automatic negative responses in future. So this new cortex is a secret area that God gave us all to control our emotions. How do you use it? Well, say to yourself, stop. Whenever you become aware of these red flags, stop. Stop with that thinking process. Count to 10. Take a break. Walk away from remove the trigger if that is possible. Write your thoughts on a list and look at them and say to yourself, is this right? Or is this disillusional? Stop and pray for God, for wisdom. It's clear. Scripture says, Mark said it, Paul said it, we must basically change our mindset, renew our thoughts and check it against the will of God. And His will was intended to be good and happy and joyful. And that is the prime checker that we will look at in the next slide. You were able to stop your negative thoughts, those automatic thoughts. Great news. Now it's the most complicated part to achieve, and that is to identify alternative new thoughts. Also the acronym AND, because of the similarity of the trigger. So how do you actually identify alternative new thoughts? Very complex, very difficult. And in my example, some would trigger some thoughts, but this is where you need advice. Third party, attend our coaching program. This is so crucial to mention because it is a complex affair to identify realistic alternative thoughts that are new and that spring out to life within. Well, one is for sure. David said it in the Psalms. Even though I walk through the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Luke also said, indeed, the very hairs of my head are numbered. Don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. And those two verses kind of reinstates the positive, alternative, new thoughts. Secondly, you need a coach. That sounding board, that objective person that can help you to formulate alternative new thoughts that you would be able to live through. So with the next video, I will illustrate that reprogramming process of the dendrites and the axons and the new thought patterns that will be created in the neuron cells. Right, in this process I will explain to you how this brain will be reprogrammed with alternative new thoughts. So let's take the COVID-19 as an example. This pandemic, these are all positive alternatives. This pandemic will pass and mankind will survive. I want to be part of the answer and the survival process. We as humans have survived 2 world wars. Millions of people contracted COVID-19, this virus, but even if 1 million people die over 1 or 2 years period, it will never represent more than 0.02 of the whole population. This is far less than HIV and TB, so it is not that bad. Okay, I might lose my job, but I have a great set of skills and other competencies. Let me make a list of the skills and see what I can do with it. What do I really love to do? This hobby of mine, can I pursue this as a new career? The pandemic is devastating, but it's not the end of everything. Yes, it's terrible, but there will be new opportunities in areas such as medicine, in areas of health, technology, the IT industry. Just think about our online program. I never thought about these new ventures. Let me prioritize my most important bills and pay them. COVID-19 can actually bring me closer to God. And now I have time to spend with my loved ones. Just think about all these fantastic opportunities. This lockdown is actually not so bad. Now I have time to really do the important things that I really enjoy. And this is now the new life. And my thoughts are creating this atmosphere and this culture within. After 21 days of repetition, you will be reprogrammed. And that is the beauty of a reprogramming process. Well done. After 21 days, you've created a new mindset using your new Cortex to control the automatic negative thoughts and reinstate the alternative new thoughts. Now, the great thing and the best news about this is that the pituitary gland will now secrete endorphins in your body. And what do? They stabilize and balance all the functions: heartbeat, blood pressure, temperature, your brain's ability to think good thoughts, like sacrificing love, like giving hope to other people. You're not threatened at all. So the mind is now prepared to think of creative solutions for that new business plan even. If these thoughts now continue, you will build a stronger immune system, preventing you from attracting viruses. The perfect storm has now been breeded. Creative thinking, joy, happiness, love, hope, self-control. And that is what we all aspire. I'm now moving on to the next very important principle of core living. And the question is, what is truth? Well, Solomon said, what a man thinks in his heart, that is what he is. That is followed by Descartes that says, I think, therefore I am. And then Christ came in and said, true love requires a sacrifice of your laws, your ideas, your opinions, your rules about situations, about other people. When we don't sacrifice those ideas and opinions in our own lives, we won't be able to have sacrificing love. The moment you start providing and giving sacrificing love, the return is really love towards you. That is a peace of mind. That is a relationship that's been repaired. So if you want to repair your relationship with any person, you just need to sacrifice your opinions, your little rules, your little ideas that are so actually irrelevant when it comes to love. Right, while you're practicing and reprogramming this mind with alternative new thoughts, it would also help you to test these two sets, the automatic negative ones and the alternative new thoughts. Which ones are really closest to the truth? So you test it against joy. Which one gives you more joy? Which one will result into long-term success? Which one will give you hope? Which one will improve relationships? Which one will give you more peace? And which one will align to your vision? And these questions will really reinstate that your new alternative thoughts are the best ones. So use this to your advantage while you're moving into stage C. C is really to change, and that is portrayed in an action plan. So you change your world if you do something differently. So your action plan is obviously an action that can be measured in terms of time and who's responsible for that. And that action plan with your mindset, your alternative new mindset, will enable you to change your world. As a summary, as a quick summary of the ABC, remember A is your activator, which is the COVID-19 or your work, your boss. B is your paradigm change process to stop and test, decide and do something differently. So what happens with old negative thoughts? The consequences are adrenaline rush, depressed behavior, confused thoughts, it inhibits cell growth, and your immune system will be reduced. On the alternative, your new thoughts will have the opposite, endorphin rush, energetic behavior, focused thoughts. This will enhance cell growth and improve your immune system. So your thoughts are really taking you to the truth. You can control your response in any given situation. I would like to thank you for listening to my video. I hope you are going to find your true north in the near future. Remember, integrity. Integrity is about the alignment of your thoughts, your actions, and your deeds. Once they are aligned, you create this perfect storm to experience peace and joy in your own life. And that is probably one of the most important things we all aspire towards. If you like the video, please forward it to a friend. You can comment on YouTube. And if you are interested in our one-on-one coaching process, you can email me. Just something about me. I've been involved with personal change for 35 years. My mentor is my dad. Today, I learned so much from my wife and my 2 adult kids, how to practice this journey. This is a journey that we all want to improve, and that is my purpose and your purpose in life. Thank you again. All the best. I hope to see you soon.